Who I am.
Yes.
I would think by now. But in case you don't, I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Dayton City Commission. And this year, we have an opportunity to make a change, because there is now one person who is not on the commission that is beholden to the powers that be, Daryl Fairchild, and Shanice Turner-Sloss, and I am running in opposition to Matt Joseph and Chris Shaw. And what that means, if you look at the front of this card, is that we could have three independent thinkers up there, and it takes 3 votes to make anything happen. It's been a long time since we've had 3 independent thinkers on this city commission. Now, you probably got mailings already telling you to vote, you know, endorsed and this and that about the other 2 candidates, incumbents. I gotta tell you, it costs an awful lot of money to do a mailing. Costs a lot of money to do a second mailing. Costs a lot of money to do a 3rd mailing. Okay? You gotta wonder where that money's coming from. Because, you know, when I go around and talk to citizens, we're not flush with cash. We pay pretty high taxes, some of the highest in the state, and what do we get back for them? So my question to you is there, first off, just to make sure I'm not mistaken, is there somebody in this room that would like to buy a building for $450,000 and then give it to me for $10? Is there anybody here that would do that?
No, but I got $10.
You got $10? Yeah, I bet you do. I got $10 too. So this is what our incumbents are going around saying is economic development and leveraging your tax dollars. Without remembering the fact that when they buy a building for $450,000 with our money, sell it to a developer from Louisville for $10, who comes in and builds a bar with seats like 220, Control Pub on Wayne Avenue, that guy is competing directly with those businesses in the Oregon district where they had to pay full price for their buildings. And they've had employees in this community for a long time. That's not fair. That's anything but fair. And if you wonder why the feds came and arrested some people and said, we have a culture of corruption, hello? Now, right after they got done saying, oh, we've got this culture of corruption, here are these 4 individuals, I said, excuse me, and they didn't know any better. They should have skipped to the news people there. Of course, the news people wouldn't ask the question that I asked. My question was, you mean there's a culture of corruption in this town and the only people you could find is 4 African-American men? And they looked at me like I shot their puppy. Okay? There's a serious problem there because there was $130 million stolen at Wright State by the board of trustees, and none of them got perk walked. Okay? Now, people say things about me all the time. They'll say things like, oh, he's crazy. Or, you've heard it. You've heard, oh my God, he wore a ninja mask. Or he did this, or he did that. But I'm telling you, to make it past the kind of money that buys the politicians so that the landfills all end up on the west side, that the West Dayton Development Fund has yet to develop anything other than jobs for friends and family. I mean, this is how this works. I call it the monarchy of Montgomery County. And it starts in the 2 parties. And it is rigged beyond rigged. And you can call me crazy because I'm willing to stand up here and say it. That's the only thing. So, it's sad when the first thing I had on my list of 5 things is our jail is dangerous. No one should risk death for a minor crime. Okay? What would have happened if Martin Luther King went to prison in Birmingham, went to the instead of Birmingham jail, went to the Montgomery County jail, and got put in 7-point restraints and pepper spray at point blank range? I mean, you don't do that to people. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they did. And if they had asthma, they could have died right then and there. This is out of hand. These people have been doing wrong for so long they don't know what right is. So, I'm gonna fix it, one step at a time, but only with your help. So, a couple things on here, I already talked about tax dollars shouldn't be used to put Dayton businesses out of business. I talked about the jail. I talked about the $450,000 for $10, we got all that. I've talked about how, it's time for a change. Real quick, it really bothers me when I hear a police officer standing there and say we're gonna replace what policemen used to do with technology. We've already seen them try that with the cameras, and you know how that went over. ShotSpotter might be great and fine, but the reality is, our police department, City of Dayton hasn't gotten any smaller, folks.
No.
And the police department used to be over 500 sworn officers, and now it's around 300. But you know who's got lots of police officers? Rich folks. I'm telling the truth, okay? University of Dayton has their own police force.
Yes, they do.
Premier has their own police force. Kettering Medical Center, the Grandview, they have their own police force. Sinclair, Metro Parks. Who do those people report to? Okay, I heard Reverend David Fox, Reverend Fox, former police officer. He said, just remember this. A police officer is the only person who can kill you legally and get away with it. And the name Samuel DuBose should still ring through. He was killed by a University of Cincinnati police officer. Who does he report to? The sheriff? The police chief? Somebody elected? No. The university president. This has to stop right now. It used to be if you wanted to date a police officer with police powers to protect your business, you paid for one. And that's what they're going to have to do. And we're going to put those officers back out in the streets because Premier doesn't need 20 cops sitting there full time guarding their little fiefdom. Okay? It's ridiculous. They're paying people $4 million a year, and they say, oh, we give away free medical care. My ass sake, it's free anything there. Okay? And it doesn't cost $3,000 to get 3 stitches, but that's what they'll charge the government. This stuff is all rigged. I can't fix everything, but I'm going to be damn sure we're not going to have anybody walking around with an AR-15 that's a private army for the rich folks. Ain't going to happen. And last but not least, my good friend David Greer, he and I went out and we both got phones about 7 years ago, right? We pay every month for our phone, right? It's just sort of like paying taxes, you pay for every month for. So I go out and get a new phone. So does my friend David have to pay more now because I got a new phone? No, he doesn't, right? That's not how it works. Or if I lose my phone, does he have to pay? Does his phone price go down? No, doesn't have any effect. However, he lives next door to me, and he gets foreclosed on in his house. His house gets boarded up because the banks are jerks. They toss him out on the street. He comes and lives with me. But they board up his house, and the scrappers go in, and the house, all of a sudden, they reevaluate and say his house is worth $10. My house was $150,000. Now my property is worth less because of what happened to the house next door. Is that right? Or I move in next to Mr. Greer and I fix my house. I tear down the house next door and I build some mansion. Should his taxes go up? That's how gentrification happens.
Yeah.
And this reevaluating your tax value every 3 years is criminal. Especially when almost all of Dayton is what is called a hub zone, historically underutilized business zone by the SBA. Supposedly eligible for federal money and it's supposed to flow in here and we're going to get lots of contracts. It doesn't work that way. But they talk about it. They also talk about CRA. They talk about all these things. None of it works. Okay? When you can buy houses for less than the price of a car in your city, you have a real problem. Besides the fact that a bank won't loan on it, and an insurance company won't insure it. So, it's time to stop this nonsense in areas where the average home value is less than the price of a car. Just stop it, totally. And something else, if somebody does come and build a mansion in there, okay, and they pay taxes, it's time we have a tax increment financing district for the neighborhoods. where all his tax money goes back to take care of the houses around his house, okay? I don't care who owns them, but we gotta do something because the values have to come up. That's what happened in my neighborhood. Literally, I bought my house for $14,500 in 1986. People thought I was crazy. In fact, they told me, your house will never be worth anything because look at those three little crappy white houses across the street. Three little shotgun houses. And I ignored them. They still thought I was crazy. See, I started out crazy. So I ignored them. And eventually, the slumlord that owned all those sold them to another slumlord. And he started fixing up one. And then he copped out on the other two. And I was sick of what was going on in and out of there. So I bought them from him. I paid more for each one of those little shotgun cottages than I paid for my office building and my house together. Because I bought my office building for $2,200. It had $2,400 in back taxes. And the city harassed me every step of the way. I bought those two cottages, I fixed them up. And my parents moved into one of them. And I'm pretty sure you were in it. It was pretty nice, wasn't it? That house now is an Airbnb because I couldn't bring myself to take all my parents' stuff out of it. And it's sort of like a museum to my parents, so I let people visit. But that house brought in $19,000 last year. That's not bad for an 850 square foot house. And they got people selling a 638 square foot house. They're asking $139 in my neighborhood. My neighborhood is succeeding, but it's also gentrifying, and that's a problem. So on Monday, they had a story in the paper. Oh, we're going to do some more technology stuff. We're going to create this interactive website with all this information about how long, for each of the 66 neighborhoods, to tell you how long a house has been on the market, how much the average selling price. I'm like, oh shit. This is more redlining. You know, the thing we don't need is any more lines drawn on the map. We need to start taking the lines away. Because we've already defined different neighborhoods. We've got the city, and we've got the suburbs. We don't need more lines within the city dividing us up. We need to bring us together. All right, Mr. Greer is saying, speed it up. So two last things. One, we still have too many of those lines, too many governments in this community. We need to work our way to Unigov, and my job is to put myself out of a job. And last but not least, I'm sick of giving our tax dollars to people like the Arcade or Premier and UD and CareSource and all these other people. It's time to give the money back to people. So you want to know what my biggest proposal is? Let's make RTA free. And I say, oh, free. You can't, there's nothing free. Folks, you already pay for it. You pay federal taxes, which pay federal money, which is most RTA. And then we pay a half cent on everything we buy, sales tax, that goes to RTA. So us left, they only get about 10% of their fares, which is like $9 million each year from the fare box. Now think about it. Slows down, going in and out, and so they're sitting there idling, burning gas, that costs money. Then they gotta account for it all, right? And then they gotta have arguments with the driver and the riders and slows things down, and there's, you know, did the bus driver steal the money, blah, blah. So you take off another 10%. So it's like $8 million, $9 million, whatever it is. They gave $10 million to Arcade, again, right? Let's just solve this. We put advertising back on the buses, and there's your $9 million right there. They took the advertising off the buses. They stopped putting ads on the outside because it's too much of a hassle for them. Make the buses free. What's this do? This means poor people who are already paying for the damn thing can ride it, and they can go to a grocery store, which we don't have on the west side, or they can go to a medical facility, which we just tore down on the west side, or they can get to a job and lift themselves out of poverty. That's the cheapest economic development I think we can offer. Plus, it solves a whole lot of parking problems, a whole lot of places, because it's a lot easier to get on the bus. Now people say, oh, you can't do free bus. People just, well, we got a free bus, but it's on the white side of town. I call it the white flyer, right? It's okay when it's running up and down Brown Street in downtown.
Yes.
But it ain't okay if we're gonna let people on the west side ride a free bus. I'm sorry. This city has been divided by racists for too long. It's time to fix it. And if you re-elect Matt Joseph and Chris Shaw, shame on you. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
We didn't elect him in the first place.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, somebody did, but we didn't.
Well, no, they haven't let anybody run against them. I haven't been able to get on this ballot all the times I've tried, they found something wrong with my petitions. I had to fight this time, okay? But any questions? No? I talked enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate what you guys do, because the only reason my neighborhood, there's only two things that happened in my neighborhood that made a difference. One is the people. Nah, not me, the people. And the second thing is, Premier paid for 2 community-based police officers for about 20 years in my neighborhood. And let me tell you, that works. So let's get it throughout the city. Forget the technology. Let's have bodies. Let's create jobs. Real jobs. Not for the friends and family working on the citywide, or the Downtown Dayton Partnership, or the Dayton Development Coalition, or Montgomery County, this or that. All these things. No, let's create jobs for policemen. And how about, after all these years, we still don't have enough African Americans on the force, because we won't hire officers from other cities. Like Cleveland laid off 180 officers one time, and a good number of them, experienced officers, African American. No, you can't come work here unless you go through our little school training. No, if we don't run that school for every police officer in the state, like you come here and you take a school, we don't run it just for us. That's like a private club. That shit's got to stop. Sorry. So,
David, thank you, sir.
thank you. I'm being shut up. I'm leaving. Where's the big hook?